I'm Sue McCardle and I'm Head of English.
How do you think the changing exam system will affect students?
Well, the first thing regarding exams at the end of year 11, I think will be, for many students, a real strain in terms of the amount of exams they're going to have to take at the end of year 11. Currently, they do controlled assessments, which means they can track their progress, as can we as teachers, from the beginning of year 10. It also helps them see where they're developing and improving, and they can pick up some of their marks as they go along, so that develops their confidence. And I see for some students taking exams is extremely stressful, so I see that the terminal exams will create more stress for students in all subjects, because they'll have a greater amount of exams, and therefore I think they're unlikely to achieve their full potential.
Do you agree with the changing exam system?
Well, for many reasons, no, because I think it's not helping students to show off their true skills. I don't believe an examination is the only way to assess how good a student is, particularly in English. They don't need to be tested on how many quotations they can remember. To be a good student of English, we need to be able to see that they can use language for different effects, and under time constraints, I don't think that is necessarily the best way to examine them. Having said that, I think there are the idea of making it more rigorous will make employers feel more confident in the students that they are receiving into the workplace, and equally in some ways it prepares them for university, because when they go there will be exams at the end of the year, so they will need to learn to plan and prioritise and think about their revision.
It's hard for teachers as well as students, but do you sometimes put your stresses onto students?
I would hope personally I don't. I think sometimes I may pretend by saying, oh, I'm really worried because you're not going to, if you haven't finished this piece of work, you're not going to achieve. But normally, I would say no, I don't, because I see how stressed the students are. They have a lot to do in their day-to-day life. That's without socialising, which is a part of growing up and they need to do. So no, I don't think that I do. I certainly would hope that I don't.
There's a saying that as a student you can only have two of the following: sleep, a social life and good grades. Do you agree with this?
I think when it comes to GCSEs, A-levels particularly, it is a bit like that, yes. For me, I would say that sleep has to be the priority, because you can't function without a good night's sleep. And unfortunately, your social life has to reduce if you want to achieve your potential. I think that's going to be increasingly so with the terminal examinations. And just going back to that, my concern is that if people spend the first year of their GCSE sleeping and socialising, how will that affect them in the second year when they need to be preparing for exams? So, you know, I think it is true, but it's a short amount of time, and my advice to students is it's only a short amount of time. You've got the rest of your life to enjoy and socialise.
Do you think students learn key life skills through their GCSEs?
Well, as an English teacher, I believe that we do help students develop those, particularly in terms of communication, because we look at every lesson involves speaking, listening and discussing, which are key skills for the workplace and further education. So English, I would say yes, because not only speaking and listening, but we're developing writing skills and looking at how language is used, which we would need also in relationships at work, in documents that we might have to read, further education and work. So I think English does, in a general skills way. I think perhaps, I'm not so sure about the other subjects, but I think schools would benefit from helping students more in terms of how to write a successful CV, how to sit in an interview and answer questions in a useful way to promote yourself, and also when you make a mistake in an interview, how to address that in a confident way. I think those sort of skills aren't addressed as well in schools as they need to be.
The media have constantly been informing us that the GCSEs are getting easier. How close to reality is this judgment?
I strongly disagree with that, and it makes me very cross when I hear this. I would like to see some of those people come and do the examinations. I'm only 20 years after when I did GCSEs, and I know that particularly the English language paper is extremely difficult. It's a very demanding paper, but the English language and literature course as a whole is demanding. and the skills required now are much more rigorous, I would say. What has happened is that teachers now give students access to what the mark scheme requires, so they know how to achieve the results. Whereas when I was at school, we were told to write an essay, it's got a beginning, middle and end. People are in teaching now structures the work so that students can access it and they can develop the skills, and they're not just thrown in to do something. So I totally disagree. Students who achieve high grades at English language particularly, but at other GCSEs, are students who've worked hard and are very capable.
What characteristics do you think make the best teacher?
Right. First of all, being able to listen. I think you have to enjoy working with whatever age group you're working with. You have to be able to listen and to take a step back and remember that of what their age is and the other priorities that they have in their life. So that's on a social, building up a relationship with students, because I do think a relationship with students is one of the key factors to helping them engage in your lesson. But obviously, in terms of subject knowledge, a teacher's got good subject knowledge and seeks to improve. And I think seeking to improve is something that teachers need to be doing all the time. So not only their knowledge, but also how did that lesson go? Did the students achieve what they should have done? What can I do next time to improve it? And evaluating what you've done and giving the students feedback. It's no good giving them loads of tasks if you don't say to them, yeah, that was really well, but you could do this and it would be even better.
For teachers in general, do you think that students' lives outside of school are taken into account, even though they might have issues you don't know about?
I think that's a very difficult question to answer, because if we know about issues, then we would try and take that into account. Sometimes we don't know, and our initial response to why you haven't done something may not take that into account. So I think sometimes perhaps not, but if we know about an issue, we do try to. And that goes back to the other point where I think that a good teacher would reflect upon the fact that you may have 6 other things to do that evening. So ask and talk to the student, and that's again about communication. So when we know about the issue, yes, I think perhaps sometimes we don't, but I would say most of the time, certainly I try to think, well, are there any other things that could be going on? And a good teacher should be asking the student that before giving consequences.
We have a careers advisor to help plot their future. There has been a mixed response to how useful they were. Do you think that students have enough information to set their mind on a career when choosing A-levels at only 16?
I'm not sure what information the school has provided. I can only speak from what I've seen, and I don't think that currently there's a wide enough amount of information, because we know about, if you want to be a lawyer, an accountant, an engineer or a teacher, the standard things, but when people perhaps want to go into work that's different, or study different subjects that you don't study necessarily at A-level, like history of art, or psychology is more an A-level subject now, but those sort of topics I think we don't know enough about, and students would benefit from finding out about it, because it may be that psychology or history of art is their passion, and if they could know a little bit about it before, they would make more informed A-level choices. And A-levels are very challenging, and to be doing a subject that you have a passion for and an interest in is crucial to achievement. So yeah, I think they need more help with that.
Okay, thank you.